Hi, my name is Colton Leahy, for those who still don't know. I always start out my videos by saying that it's always good to have an introduction, though, at the beginning of a video, just in case there are people that don't know who you are. This is not going to be another video about geoengineering, at least not yet. This is a reflection that I've been doing since we're getting close to Christmas time. I just wanted to get my thoughts out, just give things the credit and the attention that they deserve. It's always been very difficult for me around December. Looking back, a lot happened between the beginning of December to New Year's Eve. I lost my grandfather back in 2011 on January 2nd, so anytime it gets closer to Christmas time, I always think about him, and I always think about the good times, back when you're a little kid and there's not really a care or a problem in the world. I miss those days a lot, especially now. I feel like the more knowledge that I attain about the world, it like cripples me in some ways, like, because it's a lot to accept, it's a lot to understand. And looking back over the years and seeing how adamantly I have fought and I've tried to do the right thing, be a good person. I always was very idealistic, which is why, on Instagram and on Xbox, my name was always Corrupted Ideal. That's my online name. And I've chosen that name specifically because the two words contradict each other. If something is ideal, it's considered to be perfect. Like when you think of an ideal world, it's a world without any pain or suffering or problems. Corruption, on the other hand, is when something really good turns bad, or when something unspoiled becomes rotten, or when something, like in data terms, missing information, when a file becomes corrupted. You can't access all the memories, you can't access all the data because it's been corrupted. And I just sort of believe that, corruption would be like the natural state of things. Like, eventually I would also turn, I would slowly become like a shadow of my former self. I would become, corrupted. And that's pretty much, that's how my online friends know me as. My name's Corrupted. I mean, usually they call me Colton, but Corrupted's my other name. Why am I mentioning all this? Well, I'm just, like I said, it's a reflection. I'm looking back at the past, and I figure, I make all these videos all the time telling people all these dire truths and like how immediate our situation is and how we're in jeopardy and whatnot. But this time I just wanted it just to be about me. And I'm sorry if that seems a little bit selfish, but it's just, I figured you deserve to know a bit more about me instead of me just ranting and talking about what's going on in the sky and what's happening with the weather. Maybe I could give you a little bit of background about me to let you know who I am and a little bit about why I do the stuff that I do. Another personal piece of information about me, like, I'm a gay man, I'm attracted to guys, but my relationships have always been really complicated over the years. I will tell you, this one time, pretty much the first time I found out that I liked guys, it was back in 2010 in the summertime. If certain people watch this, they're going to know who I'm talking about, but you know what? It's fine because it's in the past and it's over with. And I have no shame in admitting, that I liked that person. It's already, behind me anyway. As you can tell, things obviously didn't work out, but back then there was this bounty placed on coyotes here in my community. Like, they wanted to kill off the coyotes because they were breeding too much. And I'm just there thinking, like, it's pretty cruel. Like, I can't stand, like, animal cruelty or killing animals. Like, I guess I'm just one of those soft people that just can't stand that. Nothing against you if you're a hunter, by the way. Like, I respect your free will and choice to, I know it's a sport and I know it's important to some people. I just don't understand the unnecessary casualties. I don't understand it, and I choose not to because I can't really justify it in my own conscience. But there was this one person that wanted to protest against it. And the moment I found out about that protest, I was like, wow, I want to meet that person. I want to know more about who they are. It was during a time while I was in denial about my sexuality, so at first I thought that it was actually a girl that was in charge of the protest, and I was like, wow, she seems like my type. And the funny thing is, when I went to go meet her, quote unquote, I discovered it was a guy. And he's a very beautiful guy, inside and out, like, very attractive, but also very, like, good. His intentions were good, and I believed in those intentions. I believed in the cause. So that was like the first time I became a political activist. Before I was all involved in this geoengineering stuff, I was trying to protect the coyotes from being unnecessarily killed off by hunters and people in the community. And, I tried to get close to a lot of these guys, but it seems to be like the same thing. Either they're not gay, or they think that they were, but then they're not, or it's like complicated. It's like they're in the closet, they won't come out, or they're confused. But I can never actually really get with a guy that's, 100% gay, just like I am. Like, anytime that I have tried dating people in this community, it's not so good, and I just don't really like the atmosphere of, no pun intended, but I really don't like the gay community here because it's really all the same, and I have no interest really in trying to date people here. It's why a lot of my relationships have been long distance, because I actually meet people who I do like, and it's just better for me that way. It's less heartache, and even though I don't seem like I might be, people tell me I seem like a person with thick skin. Yeah, but underneath it, I'm very vulnerable, especially when it comes to relationships. Like, it's dangerous for me because it's so easy to hurt me, which is why when I do meet the guy that I like, there's a very specific reason I really like them. They usually have a lot of empathy. At least some of them do. But getting back to what I said before about my upbringing, like, I have an interesting history, but if I went into too much detail, we'd be here for hours. So to shorten things up, like, I was a bit spoiled as a kid. Like I said, I loved my grandfather a lot. He was like a dad to me. I would be there playing a video game, and I would be thirsty, and I would say, "Poppy, I'm thirsty." And he would see my cup, he would come over and take it, and he'd go upstairs, and he'd pour me a glass, usually of chocolate milk, and he'd bring it back down, and he would serve it to me like, he treated me like I was royalty. He treated me like I was like a prince or something. Like, it was crazy. And you would think that being spoiled like that would make me very selfish and very, like, spoiled. Like a person that's a spoiled brat. They want everything. Don't get me wrong, I want a lot of things, and I do like my material pleasures. But no, I believe that if more people were like my grandfather, the world would be a much better place. We would have peace on earth if there were more people like my grandfather. And I always looked up to him, and a lot of my good qualities I attribute mostly to him. There's not very many words that can describe just how amazing he really was, how much of an influence he had, and what an impression he made, especially on me. Whenever I look at really difficult situations, I always think there's the easy way and then there's the right way. And to me, serving people, serving life is the right way. Love is always the answer, even if it seems almost impossible. Even when you're angry or full of just dismay or hatred, love has always been the answer, and I believe it. It's just some days it's harder to see it than others. I believe that 100%. And then after I grew up, of course, in 2014, 2015, I'm pretty much becoming a full-fledged adult at that point. I learned about geoengineering, and I learned about what was really happening in the sky and what the military and the central banks and the government was up to. It's scary shit. It's a lot to digest, and it changed me. I'm still changing, like, from it, because I still know what I know, right? I still know what's really going on. But in reflecting about my grandfather, like, the right choice is the right choice, isn't it? And even as corrupted as I might feel, or how idealistic some people think I am, I just want to do good in the world. I just want to make people proud. I want to make my grandfather proud. I know he probably already is, but there's always room for improvement. And for a while, all I knew was the anguish and the fear and the pain these past few years of just how hard it's been. And then this year was really, really difficult. Like, each New Year's, it always ends on a bad note. Like, I lost a good friend of mine. Like, him and I are no longer friends. We no longer speak. My father walked out on me. He's no longer my father. He completely left me and my family. He already did it once before, and he did it again, but this time for real. It's a lot to take in. Like, my life has been a sequence of tiny little tragedies that might seem small in scale for people looking on the outside, but when you're on the inside at the center of it, it's a lot more. There's a lot more to it. But then everything changed this year when I met a certain person online that I really, really liked. We were best friends first, and things changed, and he changed me. I would say to him, "You uncorrupted my ideal," because it felt like he took everything about me that was fractured and fixed it. Like, all the missing data, the corrupted data was restored, and it felt like he really brought me back. Where I felt like I was almost at the point of no return. Like, I was like, I'm just going down this dark road. There's no way of coming back. Like, there's no redemption. It always ends the same. Like, I lose the guy that I love because I either push them away or because they deceived me, and then they leave. Like, that seems to be the human condition. Like, you look at a lot of relationships, they don't survive very long because people aren't true or sincere anymore. They just want a quick fix. So there's not much substance to the relationship, and that's why it falls apart. Correct me if I'm wrong. But with him, everything about him is amazing and wonderful, and he made me feel so confident in myself, and it became easier to just be me again, thanks to him. And I've always been scared of losing him too. Like, I lose everybody, like, whenever I make that best friend that I start to develop strong feelings for. But I tried to learn from all of my past mistakes with all the other people and all the other tragic events, and I tried to make this one right. I tried to make this one work. I'm not saying that it's ending or that it's not going to work, at least not the way I hoped, but it gets hard around New Year's, like I said. These doubts start to creep up on me. I start to feel like I'm alone, and it feels kind of like there's like this weight on my shoulders, especially when it gets closer to New Year's. I want all of us to have a really wonderful New Year's. I really do. I want the next year to just be absolutely amazing. And if there's anything that good that I could take out of this year, 2018, I met some of the most wonderful people ever that I truly love. I'm grateful for. And my family truly has been there for me and has loved me and supported me. There's nothing more you could ever ask for. I'm living the dream. Well, as much as a person can, living where I live. But yeah, I guess this reflection ended up being a lot more sad than I initially thought. But there were a lot of good moments. Especially with my grandfather. Especially with even all those guys that I tried to get to know. Everything's a lesson, one way or another. This is who I am, like I do the things I do because I believe it's the right thing to do. My background isn't so significant. The fact that I'm gay doesn't change, like, I'm a human being, I'm a human first before I'm anything else. Like, before you put a label on me, I'm just human, just like everybody else. The only difference is that I have a disposition toward men instead of women. That's it. I don't know if a person like me is really meant to be with anyone or not. But I can tell you, if you're one of those people that really don't think that you'll ever end up with anyone, just take it from a guy that's been there. Like, you never think that it'll happen, but it just happens out of nowhere. You just end up meeting the right guy or girl, and they end up doing something for you. Like, that connection happens. You feel it. You know it to be true. Not just in your heart, but it's in your gut. It's in your bones. You feel it. You just know it to be true. And if you don't feel it that way, then it's not really love now, is it? And we can think that we're in love, but it doesn't always end up being that way. Like, love is not really just a feeling, it's many things. And there's a struggle involved too. I guess the best way I could describe love based on my experience, love is when you're with that person and it feels like it's never long enough. And then the moment you're away from that person, you feel that distance, that time apart, and all you can think about is them and how much you miss them and how much better you feel when they're around. Well, that's love. Like, that's real love. Love doesn't make you nervous, doesn't make you too much of anything. Love just makes you calm and at peace. That's how you know that that's the right person. When you feel completely yourself. And when you can't imagine yourself being anywhere else or with anybody else, then that's how you know that you're in love. And it took me a while to figure that out, but I think that's the truth. Love is when you're with some person and you know that there's so many other people in the world, but that only that person can make you feel a certain way. And if you could think about going a long time without talking to them or seeing them, and it brings you excruciating pain, then there's a very good chance that, yes, you really, really love them, And if they loved you, it would be the same thing. If they can't bear the thought of not having you, then they love you as much as you love them, because if not, then they'll just move on. They'll walk away. They won't look back. But the people that look back are the ones that are in love. So, if you want to tell the difference between someone who doesn't care about you and someone who does, it's not really that hard to figure out if you just give things time. But instead of letting your emotions get the better of you, just be patient and let them show themselves to you. Just be patient and wait and see. If they love you, nothing in the universe will keep you apart, if it's real. And love doesn't happen overnight. I know how quickly people say it, within a week, within 2 weeks. But when you're with someone for a long time, every single day, for months, maybe even a year, maybe even 2 years, and you still feel that strong bond. That's the real deal for sure. You just know it to be true. It's just unmistakable. And people will come in and out of our lives, but we'll find other people again. You'll find love again. If you've already done it once before, why wouldn't you be able to do it twice, you know? Maybe it won't be the same person, and maybe there will be things about them that will remind you of the other person, make you miss them. But there's no going back to a broken relationship. If you know it's broken, if you know it breaks you, it's never going to fulfill you. It's never going to change. It's not going to be different the second time around. Save yourself the pain. Save yourself the heartache. Isn't that a nice New Year's resolution? Isn't that something that would be a good goal to set? Isn't that what we all say? New year, new me. You know, no more toxic decisions, no more toxic people. Listen, there's always going to be toxic people, and you're always going to make those human habits that are so hard to break. But at least owe yourself and tell yourself how you deserve so much more. Someone with a heart like yours deserves so much more, you know? You have to remind yourself. And you'll find the way, like you'll find your way. You will. You'll find that things will just work out if you just give them time and not get too stuck on that emotion. It's the emotion that keeps you from seeing things clearly. So don't be too hard on yourself. Just be at peace. Let it wash over you the way it should, by being grateful for all the things that you have. You'll see someday it'll all come together. Like someday I'm sure I'll see my grandfather again, assuming there is life after death, you know? And there probably is. That's a whole nother talk, though. Anyways, I've been talking for a while. It's a pretty long reflection. I just thought I'd let you know that I'm doing good. I passed school. It was very difficult, especially with, being depressed and everything. But I did it. My intelligence worked and it pulled through. Just like people believed in me and they said that I would do it, and they were right. I should have just had more faith in myself. But I'm very hard on myself. I carry the whole weight of the world on my shoulders. I just want to make things right, whatever way I can. I'm going to be getting back to work with the anti-geoengineering stuff, and I'm going to focus on school as well. Maybe I'm just not meant for the whole relationship stuff. I'm not saying that it was another failure. In fact, this is so different from every other time. It's hard to call it a failure. But sometimes you just realize that some things aren't meant to be. You just have to make peace with things and give people the freedom that they deserve to discover themselves and be who they are. If you truly love someone, you'd be willing to let them go. I know that's an old saying, but it's so true. If you really love someone, it's not about possessing them or controlling them. It's about freedom. That's the most important thing. We all feel like we're prisoners in so many different ways, especially with this capitalistic society. And that's another talk too. But the least we can do for people is give them this sense of freedom, absolute freedom, to be themselves. And love them for who they are and nurture them. Like I said, I believe that if more people were like my grandfather, you would have peace on earth. Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing to look forward to? Wouldn't that just be a future worth dreaming for? So, now you know more about who I am and why I do what I do. My name is Colton Leahy, and I'm saying to you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Hare Krishna, or whatever religion or belief system you're a part of. May you find fulfillment in the things that you do, and don't be too hard on yourself for the things that don't work out or pull through for you. I believe in all of us. I know we'll find the light again, and we'll all make it, just like we always do. Good luck to you, and I will see you again soon. There will be more content to be shown. I'll be getting back on the geoengineering topic. I know that no one wants to hear it or talk about it, but I must do it because no one else will. You have a good night, and thank you so much for listening to me. This is just another recording of the thoughts that have been going on in my mind. Maybe someday when I look back at them, I'll realize I'll see it from a different perspective. You have a good night's sleep. Merry Christmas.